All right, looks like we're live on YouTube. So just 1 second. All right, guys, looks like we are live on YouTube and Facebook, maybe YouTube and Facebook. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to just get one more thing situated, you guys, and then we will begin our broadcast. This is so fun. This time it's like actually working. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, guys, this is so cool. Okay. All right, so today we are talking about a success tip for fulfillment and success at the same time, because a lot of times we get momentum and things aren't really gelling, like we don't feel good. So the format of the show, if this is your first time watching, I have both YouTube and Facebook, so I'll take comments at the end. Right now, we're just going to talk about the tip itself and what we're talking about today, and then we'll try and wrap up, within 20 to 30 minutes. But if this is your first time to catch me live, my name's Kelsey Humphreys. I am the host of The Pursuit, which is a traveling talk show on success. It's my full-time gig. I travel around the U.S. I've spent like 4,000 hours so far researching, interviewing massively successful people like Tony Robbins, Chalene Johnson, the Property Brothers, Seth Godin, just amazing, amazing, amazing guests. It's been incredible. And so what I try to do is break down success for the rest of us. A lot of times these hosts of business content are already super successful. Like they're already millionaires. They already have everything figured out. They already have these giant businesses and they're doing like a podcast or a YouTube show as a side hustle. That is not me, okay? I'm still trying to figure this out like you guys in the trenches, trying to grow my media production company because this is what I do. We have a sponsor now. I make money from YouTube and I make money from my writing gigs, but I'm trying to break down success for us. So today's tip is really important because a lot of times, like we've been talking about goal setting throughout January, starting next week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, we'll talk about productivity. But I just have one, tip per episode. And this time we're talking about when you start to get momentum on your goals, okay, you're feeling good, you're excited. And then you're starting to see progress, but like when you go to bed at night, you don't really feel great about how things are going. And like it's been a few weeks or, maybe it's been a couple months that you've been seeing progress on your goals, but something feels out of sync. It's like something's missing. It's like you don't have peace. It's like you don't have rest in your soul at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month. And this is something I learned from Chalene Johnson. She calls it your key priorities. And I've also heard it called other things, different ways people talk about it in my interviews, you guys. But what it is that if you're neglecting the most important things in your life in order to achieve your goals, like your 2017 hustle, whatever that is, if you're neglecting the most important things, you're not going to have peace and eventually it's going to fall apart. I hope you weren't here for me to give you a hug and have some Care Bear success tip where we didn't get real about things, okay? The example I gave in this week's 2-minute video was that for me, for my personality, I want to go, go, go and do. So it's easy for me to get on here and do this live broadcast. It's easy for me to pitch these amazing guests and produce this, traveling talk show and hop on a plane and all that stuff. You know what's not easy? Parenting. Can I get an amen? Like I'm in the middle of potty training my toddler and she's 3. So it's like I'm in the total trenches, you guys, of toddler parenting, and I'm sucking at it. It's not easy for me to slow down and play and do crafts and be present. That's not easy for me. And what's life-changing about this particular success tip, you guys, when you get a hold of it, is that we tend to gravitate towards whatever our personality and skill set is. Okay, so for me, I'm a communicator and I'm very task-oriented and goals and pushing and achievement and all that stuff. So that's where I focus when it's time for me to make my goals and when it's time for me to allot my time and set my priorities. But really, in my heart, obviously my family is more important than my career, right? Like, duh. And so, but doesn't fit my personality type. On the flip side, somebody else who might be really nurturing and really caring pours their whole being into parenting and their family, and maybe they completely neglect their health. And obviously you can't do your best at parenting or growing a business or whatever your hustle is, or, whatever you're trying to bring to the world if your health is suffering. Okay? So another good example would be that you are crushing it in 2 to 3 areas, but your spiritual life is in shambles because it's not natural for you to sit and meditate, or it's not best for your personality type is not one to sit and be quiet in the morning and read your Bible, or whatever your spiritual practices are. That might not be the best for your personality. Is it starting to make sense? So what's crazy is it feels like we're doing what we're meant to do. Like, I feel like I'm meant to be out there hustling, because that's the way I'm wired. But in my heart and in my soul, I know that that's not actually as important as these other key things, because another one for me is health. If you've followed me for a long time, you know I've been sober over 2 years. What? And for a long time, my health was totally in the crapper because I was a secret, high-functioning alcoholic. And I mean, obviously, even though I had success in my career, I was not fulfilled. I did not have peace in the achievement I was having. Even though I was like checking stuff off this list, I did not feel fulfilled. So what's crazy about this is that it's hard. Like, I'm tired right now just thinking about it. But it's essential. When you think about your heroes, they're probably not just great at whatever their industry is. Like, when I interview these people, most of them are also annoyingly healthy, okay? They're also really centered. They also make time for family. You know why? Because you can't have real success and be able to go out there and crush it every single day if you're neglecting the priorities in your heart that may not be best suited to your personality, okay? So that's something that I think is really important for us to think about. Now, if you guys have comments, I'm going to try to answer comments as they come in. If you asked a question, if you gave me a shout out, I see a lot of people have said some things on Facebook. Definitely, guys, give me those thumbs up and hearts. And let me know you're enjoying the broadcast. But also, I would like to hear where you're struggling when it comes to goal setting. This is our last live stream on goal setting, you guys. And then next month, we're going to talk about productivity. So if you have, good morning, Shiloh. Hi, Catherine, Colleen, Charles. If you have questions for me, those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, about your goals, about where you're stuck, about why you can't gain momentum, I would love to help you out. I know there's a bit of a delay. So some of you have already, I know some of you commented and I didn't see it. And on YouTube, I'm actually not sure if you guys are commenting at all. I can see that you're watching on YouTube, but I don't see any comments pop up. So on YouTube, if you can hear me, if you can comment, give me a shout out. Okay, so yeah, someone said amen. So, the other thing that I really want to talk to you guys about, that kind of fits to last week's point, is that which was last week, we talked about if you are, hustling on the wrong things. That's kind of what we're talking about this week, right? And so as we go into next month, we're going to be talking about how to figure out what that is, how to figure out what's most important, how to figure out where you should spend your time, because we're talking about productivity and achievement and breaking down how to do more, each day, each week, each month. But I don't see any questions coming through. So I'm going to wrap this up. No point staying on a live show without any Q&A, right? I can see that we have people watching and I can see a few comments, but I don't see any questions. Hi, Grace. Thanks for watching. So I'm just going to do last call for any questions about goal setting, or if you have questions for me about, how I achieve or how I set goals or what I do. Okay, so Catherine says, partners that don't understand the outlay of time required, success. Okay, as an entrepreneur. So Catherine, I'm assuming you're talking about like a marital spouse or like a life partner, or are you talking about a business partner? Because if you're talking about a spouse, or, partner that you live with or whatever your significant other. Thank you. That's like what I was trying to think of. If they don't understand what you're trying to do, that's on you, Catherine. Love you. But if they don't understand like the goals and the time required and the payoff, like have you made sure that you're communicating to them the benefit of what you're doing? Because just building an empire is not enough, you know? I mean, like, or just like, I want to help others, that's not enough. You also need to explain, like, remember, this is what gives me the freedom to, you know, go to every single child's event, or this is something that gives me the freedom to go run your errands for you while you're stuck at a 9 to 5. And so you've got to make sure that you're communicating the benefits. You've got to make sure that they feel like a priority. That's what we're talking about today, right? Like, are you keeping them a priority in your life, or is work coming first? And you've got to take a hard look at those things and maybe apologize to them if they, you know, aren't a priority, or if you haven't been making proper time for them. But I really think it comes down to over communicating what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what the benefit is to you guys as a unit, like as a family unit. How does this help you guys beyond just you helping others? Because don't we go into business for ourselves in order to have freedom? Like, in order for me to not ever miss one of my daughters' anything, whatever she gets involved in right now. She's 3, she has no hobbies or outside interests, but you know, eventually I feel like she's probably going to be a dancer because she dances all the time. I don't want to miss, you know, any recitals. That's why we do this. That's a benefit that my husband understands when I'm like traveling and off doing this and off doing that, is that I'm in control. Okay, Kara, it's so hard to balance everything. How do you balance everything with motherhood? And then Kayla says, what's your number one tip for sticking with a goal and not getting discouraged with setbacks? Okay, so Kara, I talk a lot about balance because it doesn't really exist. Okay, what you have to think about is ebb and flow, seasons. Things are slammed one minute and easy the next. So for me, there will be a month where I'm traveling all the time and I have tons of mom guilt and I feel terrible. And then, you know, like I took basically all of December off for the holidays. We went on a trip. I spent all my time, you know, with my daughter. Like, we were, not all of December, but a big chunk of it. So that is a different season, right? So I think you need to give yourself permission to not be balanced. This is something that was hard for me to grasp at first because I felt like I should be crushing it in all areas. And remember, like, what we're talking about today is honoring our true priorities, but that doesn't mean that they get the most of your time. Because obviously we have to work 40 hours a week. That's a big chunk of our time. What it means is the quality of time. It means prioritizing what's important to you as a family, or prioritizing what's important to your kids. Depends on the age of your kids, but you know, as your kids get older, they'll let you know what they care about. Like, don't miss my games, but I don't care if you miss this, you know, assembly where I'm on whatever and they're recognizing me at the assembly. I don't care about that. You know, like, kids will tell you, and you can start to see what's important to them. And so I feel like you've got to give yourself permission to not be balanced. Sometimes you're going to be really invested and all in your parenting, and you're going to be awesome and great, and you will be able to neglect work for a while, whether it's a week-long vacation you guys take, or every evening you unplug from work completely and you're fully present with them, and maybe work slows down. Like, you have to figure out the ebb and flow that works for you. And you also have to let go of guilt. And I'll be honest with you right now, I haven't mastered this. This is something all these successful people that are moms that I've talked to, they're like, you have to let go of mom guilt if you really want to achieve. And I'm trying. I'm trying so hard. But I still have it, you know. But that's something we have to work to let go of. Okay, I think it was Kayla said, my number one tip for sticking with, I'm going to make sure I go back and look at you guys' comments here. I still don't see any comments on YouTube, but I can see that you guys are watching, so thanks for watching, YouTube. So Kayla says, number one tip for sticking with a goal and not losing steam. I have a few tips for this. I mean, setbacks are going to happen in any goal. One thing we talked about this month is making sure that your goals are big enough and ambitious enough that you get back up. So for me, the idea of reaching way more people with my message of success for the rest of us, the idea of being able to interview Oprah or Ellen or Taylor Swift or Jimmy Fallon or something like that someday, like that's big enough for me to be like, okay, when like this week Bill Gates people said no, you know, and I've had a couple other people say, well, we can't get you on the schedule right now, you know, and that happens to me multiple times a week, that I get rejection or someone, you know, people don't respond to me and all that stuff. And the way to get back up is for me to keep my eye on the end vision, okay? So your end vision has to be big enough to keep you inspired and keep you pumped and keep you going. Another thing to think about is that you need to see momentum. So that's one thing that is great about having big goals, is that you usually take bigger action, more aggressive action. You're more aggressive towards achieving your goals. Then you see results quicker, you see momentum quicker, and you're more likely to stick with it. So if you feel like you're running out of steam, it might be because you don't have results. It's easy to do this with a weight loss metaphor. So you're making changes, but you know, you haven't lost a pound yet and you feel like giving up. Evaluate which changes you're making, and which changes have the most benefit and which don't. Or change the method and not the mission is something I talk about all the time. Change what kind of workouts you're doing. Change, you know, what kind of diet plan that you decided to go with. Don't give up on the goal altogether, just change the method. And for me personally, a lot of times I find changing the method really breathes a new, like, it really gets me excited. So like, you know, last year, Periscope happened. And so I started like trying to do multiple Periscopes a week as a part of the Pursuit brand, and like jumping on that helped me, even though it, you know, obviously Periscope kind of went away. I don't know if you guys are still watching Periscope. Somebody tell me I'm wrong, but I don't watch it anymore. You know, but that gave me like new energy and new excitement and new ideas. And, you know, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air to my whole mission and my whole message and my whole overall goal to add a new method and to change the method. Okay, let me see. I think we had a few more questions. I'm using my toddler's tablet to try and see the comments. So bear with me, everyone. Okay, so let's see here. I know we had a few more comments. Okay. How do you stay informed in what's going on in the world and focus on your hustle? The distractions have been nonstop. Grace, preach. Okay. I actually meant to bring this up today to talk about this a little bit because I think I might clip this out and post it separately. Because with everything that's going on in the world, and Grace, I will get back to your question on staying focused and not getting distracted. You know, you might wonder, is Kelsey going to comment? Because for those of you who aren't in the States, you know, I'm in the US, obviously the sky is falling, according to some people, or some people would say, nothing, it's not a big deal. And then other people would say, it's the greatest thing ever to happen. Like, and it's getting crazy. And so you might be wondering, like those of you who have followed me for a long time, is she going to comment? Is she going to say anything? What does she believe? What are her thoughts? And I'm not. And I posted a video about this, I think it was last year, about really focusing on what your calling is. And I do not feel called at this moment in my career to use my platform to talk about my political views. Now, there are some influencers and people and actors and actresses and business personalities and media personalities who do feel called to do that. That's fine. So, Grace, to go back to your question on distractions, like, you have to remember your calling. You are not called to, you know, change public policy unless you feel like you're supposed to, you know, change everything and go into politics. Like, that doesn't mean you can't, you know, reach out to your congressman or do what you can locally, which is another video I posted, is that when you feel like the sky is falling, it's time to take care of those at home, right? It's time to do what you can in your own community so you feel like you're making a difference, and you actually will be making a difference. But I want to give you an example. This is what I want for you guys who follow me. When you go to my Facebook page, I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be motivated and inspired. I want you to find resources. Like, I want you to find either an interview or an article or something that I post, or I link to somebody else's interview or article that actually helps you build your dream and become your best self and put out your best work. And I hope I make you laugh. and that you feel connected to me. None of that, is going to be accomplished by me posting anything on either side. I just feel like it's happened to me. Someone where I go to them for a specific either, motivation or inspiration or whatever, and I go there to check out their page that day or to check out their Instagram, or they're in my feed and I get excited, then I look and I'm like, oh man, they're talking about that. Not because of their beliefs, by the way. Not whether they agree with me or disagree with me or however I feel, but just because I have enough of that. Like, you can't get away from it. It's everywhere. You know how everyone thinks. You know how everybody feels. You were definitely informed. I don't think anyone can say you can go find news that fits your specific political leaning. Like, you can find left news, you can find right news, you can try and find neutral news, Godspeed. We are plenty informed, we know what's going on, and we know what everybody thinks about it, and I don't want you to come to my page and be like, oh, more of this. Like, do we need more of that? You don't need it from me. I can tell you that right now. So, Grace, I have been really struggling. Like, I feel like so many people in my community are hurting and are totally filled with fear and are stressed, and Americans are just like not being kind to one another and everything sucks. And I've talked about it with my husband, and and I've read articles on as an influencer, what should you do, what should you not say? And you know what it comes back to? Like, I'm called to do this work. This good work I'm meant to do. And Grace, you're meant to do your good work. Like, the world still needs you at your best self, putting out your best work. Like, what if, think about something you love, like just totally shut down, like there were no more movies, or there was like Netflix decided to just shut down. Sorry, we know that there's a lot going on in the world, so we're taking this off the table. Like, what? I need to escape by binge watching something, please. Or, an author like that you love said, you know what, I'm not going to write any more books. I just can't. That we are called to do the good work we're called to do. That doesn't mean you're not also called to share your opinion if you feel like that's what you need to do that with your followers or your readers or your subscribers. Or that doesn't mean that you don't also feel called to go do something in your local community, to get involved, to be an activist or whatever. But when it comes to achieving the work we're meant to achieve in the world, and also becoming our best selves, which means some of this personal development that starts to feel pointless, like, oh my gosh, why even bother whatever today, meditating or trying to read a business book or a self-improvement book or whatever because the sky is falling. So, Grace, I hope that helped answer the questions. And as far as blocking out the distractions, you guys, you know what to do. I took Facebook off my phone. I also, close more tabs while I'm working. I've just had to block some things out in order to get back to work. So you have to figure out what works for you. That might mean maybe you don't go to your, weekly whatever because everyone's going to be talking about it and it's going to get you all worked up again. Or maybe that means you don't talk to some of your families and friends, people that you normally would like talking to, but right now you just can't handle it. You've got to figure out the way to protect yourself so that you can still do the work that you're meant to do and still, be sane. Okay, yeah, how to balance all the incoming. Well, that's up to you. She asked, yes, stay focused on work, but what about all the incoming? You have to shut that off. Like, all the stuff that's incoming, you're allowing that in. There's very few instances where something's getting to us and we didn't actually allow that to some respect. And like, there are people right now who are totally just unplugging, like no social media, no TV that's like not, Netflix or pre-recorded or whatever. And they're just totally unplugging. And I'm like, respect, man. You do you. You got to survive. You got to do your good work. Or some people would think, they're so worked up and so stressed that they're not serving their kids. They're not being the mom that they're meant to be because they're so anxious about this, or they're so worked up, or they're so angry. That they're not being their best self and giving the world their best work. You've got to find the way to block things out that's going to work for you because you have a calling and a mission that you have to fulfill. Okay, so it looks like we have about 5 minutes left for any more questions anybody has. And I hope that this has pumped you guys up and encouraged you today. And one more thing, I just want to go back to today's tip, which is really about look at your strengths, okay? Look at your strengths as your personality, your gifts and talents, what you feel naturally drawn to, and just every so often check yourself and say, are my strengths actually hindering me from true fulfillment and peaceful success because I'm so focused on those things that I'm neglecting my health or my family or my spiritual life or my finances? Like we can't be our best selves and put out our best work if we are like so filled with anxiety because our finances are in the crapper and like at the end of each month we want to die. You're not going to be able to really put out your best work in that situation. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you watch on the replay, I would love for you to give me a shout out about how you are doing with your goal setting, where you're struggling, where you're stuck, if you have trouble with prioritizing what really matters in life. If you guys don't know, the monthly magazine has goal setting worksheets. And next month, we're going to have productivity worksheets that are going to be awesome. And that's free, but January comes down. As soon as February comes out, the January issue is no longer available. And it's also got some behind the scenes with Larry King and Carrie Wilkerson. So that's the pursuit.tv/magazine, you guys, to get that for free. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I just wanted to, you're welcome, Grace. And if you guys have watched this and you're enjoying it, don't forget to give some thumbs up and hearts, and I don't know what the equivalent is on YouTube. But the last thing I wanted to tell you guys is thank you everyone who commented. Entrepreneur, the television show, has picked up my clips. So some of my celebrity interviews are going to be on Reels Network, which is a cable network, which means I have my first real TV credit. And I am just so pumped and freaking out. And so I wanted to tell you, everyone who's been watching my live streams or who likes things and shares things and subscribes on YouTube and comments on YouTube videos, like now that I'm on the other side of this, I think back and every influencer or author or content creator that you support with a like or share, or, you email something to someone, or you comment, or you watch their live streams and subscribe to stuff, or most importantly, people's email lists, like my magazine list, you're like actively changing that person's life. It's crazy. I mean, I can't thank you guys enough. And obviously, I hope I'm helping you become your best self and put out your best work. And hopefully I'll get to do that on a bigger scale with some more traditional or mainstream TV stuff. So thank you guys so much. I don't see any more questions and we're about out of time. So if you watch the YouTube video later, I will be on checking comments. If you watch Facebook later, thank you for watching the replay. I will be on checking comments and answering your questions and also talking about specific guests. If you wonder about guests that I've had on and their goal setting techniques, you can ask me about that too. Thanks guys. Have an awesome Wednesday, and I will be back next week every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central with your Success for the Rest of Us live show. So thanks guys.